Hey guys, it's Bedlam, and today is literally the very last day that you can use your tickets for the current Mega Tree event. So if you're watching this the day that it came out, then you have about less than 24 hours to use all of those tickets. Probably more like maybe 12 hours to use all those tickets, so better lock the fuck in before you get kicked from your club. Now, if you're like me, you probably left all of your tickets to the last day and are staring at something like 40 tickets to use, which is a shit ton, but it's very doable within probably like an hour and a half if you kind of give yourself some time. And if you really speedrun it, you can probably do it in like 40 minutes, maybe, not gonna lie. I was able to do it on my other two accounts pretty quickly, just in the span of like playing for an hour and a half, so yeah, it's very doable. Don't lose hope, lock the fuck in. And I figured that for this video, I would just give you just a few simple tips for anyone who still have to use a lot of tickets and feel a little bit lost on what exactly they need to be doing in a lot of these different game modes, because a lot of these aren't your usual like Brawl Ball and Gem Grab. I mean, Brawl Ball and Gem Grab are literally not even game modes in this rotation. So yeah, just a few tips for each game mode and best brawlers that you might want to pick or consider picking. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Let's first start off with just a couple general tips. So the first, number one, most important tip obviously is, if you want to win, just get teammates. You don't even need to be playing with your clubmates. Literally, if you have friends who are in other clubs, just create a lobby with them in a different game mode first, and then switch to the Mega Tree event. You can do this, it works, even if you're in a different club, even if your teammate doesn't even have tickets. You know, if you have a friend whose balls you have in a vice grip and they owe you something, maybe you can like force them to play with you even if they've used all their tickets, right? Just figure something out, okay? Get a teammate, because obviously any teammate, even your 6-year-old little brother, is probably more competent than the average random you'll have on your team. And that can make the difference, but honestly, I was able to solo queue to 38 wins, I think, and it wasn't that big of an issue. But obviously, my mental is made of steel, guys. I mean, I have a fucking kryptonite obsidian mental, so I'm able to power through even if I have shitty randoms. You might not be built that same way, so just keep that in mind. The other thing that's like a general tip to know is there is no penalty for dodging, so if you get a really dogshit combo of like a game mode or a modifier that you just do not want to play for whatever reason, and there are two really big combos out there that I'm going to tell you about. I mean, you can dodge it, and honestly, there is no harm, no foul. I try not to dodge most of the game modes though, even if it's like, oh man, my teammate picked this stupid brawler, blah blah blah. Guys, it doesn't really matter, okay? It's not that big of a deal. These presents that you get for winning all your games is probably just going to be like 100 power points anyways, let's be honest. Don't generally dodge, but if you know that it's going to be a complete waste of your time, you might want to dodge. And specifically, I'll just say it now, if you get the Instagib modifier with Holiday Havoc or Present Plunder, that is a dog shit combo. Just insta-dodge that. There's just no point in playing. But let's talk about that. So starting off, I guess, with the present game modes, we have Present Plunder. That's where you basically have these two little hot zone looking things on either side of the map, and a present is in the middle, and you want to try to take the enemy team's present and put it inside of your zone, if you know what I'm saying. Best brawlers here are going to be generally high mobility brawlers, so Daryl, Melody, Buzz, Edgar, Saber Buzz, you know, these can all pretty much work. Frank can also kind of work just because he has a lot of high HP, so you might be able to walk in there and just walk out with a present, but realistically the enemy team is also going to have a lot of tank counters, and you probably should have at least one too. So like Surge, Gale, Griff, Lou are all really good tank counters right now, and you can go them, then play defense if you want to. Or just having another, maybe like a laser Buzz or something on defense that can work. But guys, I'm going to be honest, you're going to be hearing a lot about Buzz Lightyear, because either the laser or the saber Buzz modes are going to be one of the best brawlers and options for you on pretty much every map and mode combo. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that. If you don't have like any brawlers leveled up for a specific game mode or something, just go like Buzz Lightyear. It's pretty much free. I mean, it is literally free. You have it unlocked. I know you do. Everyone does. So yeah, that's Present Plunder. Your main goal basically is, if you are playing a mobility brawler, just try to run up the map and find an opportunity to go in and take the present and get out. If you ever encounter the Instagib modifier for this game mode, just please don't even bother playing it out. What's going to happen is both teammates are going to just kill each other instantly, and then you're going to be wasting basically 5 minutes of your life playing a deathmatch, except no one makes any progress, because it can be a really passive game mode if both teams are really good, like locking down their defense. And if you one-shot every brawler, then your nuts are going to be locked in on that defense. I've played this and it just went to a draw. It was a total waste of time. Just dodge this combo if you get it insta-give. But we'll talk more about insta-give after. We also have the second present game mode, Carry the Gift. This is a pretty dog shit game mode in my opinion. I mean, it's really cheesy. The meta here is you just go tanks and a bunch of like hard to kill brawlers like maybe Mortis or Miko, and you jump on the present, you grab it, you get it out, and you basically just hold that present down for the entire game. Have someone who's really hard to kill just sit in a corner behind a wall, and then your teammates will basically just defend that present holder the whole game. If you've gone against this strategy, it is super cringe and hella annoying. If you play this strategy, it is super awesome and amazing and super fun, and this game mode is the best thing ever. It's a pretty unbalanced game mode. And I think what's especially unbalanced about it is the fact that respawn points are kind of spread out throughout the middle of the map in a lot of the maps for this game mode. Like those little blue and red nipples that are kind of scattered throughout the map. If you have the present, all you need to do is just sit on the other side of that nipples, like try to stay around your colored nipples. And your teammates will literally respawn and intercept anyone who tries to take the present out of your little zone, your half of the map. And they'll also come in and act as defense for you. It is so broken. In terms of like brawlers that aren't the tank, so like if you already have a Frank on your team, you can pretty much go any form of Buzz Lightyear as like support. I've seen literally any brawler work, Dynamite, whatever you think can like get a lot of kills with. The maps might have some walls, so a thrower that can do a lot of damage like Dynamite might be pretty solid. It's pretty cheesy. Go a tank, Saber Buzz, go some shit, and then grab the ball the present, and then just hold it forever. And do not walk towards the red nipples. That is also another thing to do. If you have the present, don't walk towards the red nipples. You're basically just handing over the present for free, and then you will never get it back. I think there is some potential if you have a more open map on this game mode to go like Colette to maybe counter the Franks and kill them, but realistically, it's just going to be really hard to get the enemy team to let go of the present once they have it. So you kind of want to just rush for that present and make sure you get control of it. Alright, next step. For the last present game mode, we have Holiday Havoc. This is essentially the jellyfishing game mode from the SpongeBob event. There's not that much to say about this. I mean, because unlike the SpongeBob event, there's no modifiers this time in this, or like there's modifiers, but there's no power-ups, SpongeBob power-ups, so I think whatever brawler that you think is strong for that map, you can go. If there's a lot of walls, you can maybe go some throwers, or Rico. If there's a lot of grass, you can maybe go close range brawlers. If it's pretty open, you can go like more medium range or snipers. Obviously, Buzz Lightyear, Laser, and Saber form are both S tier, so definitely can keep an eye for those on basically any map for this game mode. Just one little note though about this game mode. Once you have enough presents to win, don't pick up any more because it'll reset the countdown to collect the presents. So once you pick a present up, there's a little timer that starts to actually collect it for your team. And if you die while the countdown is happening, you'll drop that present. Well, if you're at like 16 out of 20 presents and you have 4 presents on you and you're about to collect them, don't pick up another present because then it'll reset the timer to actually collect those and you'll be risking losing the game for longer. So don't do that. That's my pro tip for this game mode. And now going on the theme of the game modes from the events, let's talk about Spirit Wars. I made a video about this before, but essentially the strategy for Spirit Wars is just 1 or 2 damage brawlers and maybe 1 or 2 tanks or assassins to kill the damage brawlers and hold control of the map, and maybe take those little tokens that spawn the spirits. So for your damage healers, the best ones are going to be like Grom, Colt, maybe Rico, brawlers that can hit the safe from far away and do it, just fart out a shit ton of damage. Grom in particular with that gadget that spawns 3 attacks for 1, that shit is broken. It'll do like 20% to the safe, so you have 4 of them if you have the +1 gear, and then just a few miscellaneous shots and that's enough to just take out the safe. Colt is also insane, especially if you get a modifier like Quickfire, and you're on Spirit Wars. Colt is going to be disgusting. You can kill the safe in like 20 seconds. Unironically, the game will end before the first round of spirits even spawns. For tanks and like people who can kind of hold control of the mid, you want to go assassins to take out obviously the Colts and the Groms, but you also kind of want to go tanks to like, have like kind of some meat to them. You know, they're a little more on the plump side, a little nicer to grab on hold of. Tanks like Frank or BB or Buzz Lightyear with the Saber form are all really good, but you specifically don't want to go like Daryl or something usually, just because Daryl's shotguns will get eaten and absorbed by the severe, like just like the sheer number of spirits that spawn. So tanks that have AoE attacks that can kind of hit the multiple spirits at once or pierce them are really nice. Nita is also pretty solid. Penny people use, not because she's a tank, but because her attacks do splash and pierce. And yeah, if you want more info about this game, you can check out my other video about it, but like, those are basically the brawlers that you would want to go. Frank, BB, Nita, Buzz Lightyear, same with the Saber form, stuff like that. And also Grom and Colt. In terms of the general strategy, Honestly, I mostly, as a damage dealer, you mostly just want to ignore the bolts, go straight for the safe and try to just get as much damage as possible. If you are a tank, or, you know, tank counter, just try to like focus on defending against the enemy's damage dealers from getting on your safe, because if they get on your safe, they're going to shred that shit like cheese. Just hold control of the center of the map so your damage dealer can try and push up and get damage on their safe. These spirits are kind of just cosmetic features. They don't actually do that much if you have a proper comp. Alright, next up we have Soul Collector. So the best brawlers are here. There's a cheese strat you can do with Charlie, but it's not as good anymore because the cards are gone, so she doesn't have that infinite reviving glitch. But Charlie is really nice because you can steal the souls that an enemy has collected if they haven't died. It just makes them drop all their souls and you can pick them up like in Gem Grab. It's really strong, but you kind of have to hit the cocoon on them for that. Jean is also really good because you can pull enemies into you to collect their souls safely, because that's the big, you know, issue with this game mode is it's basically knockout, but you have to go and pick up their soul once you kill them, which is kind of risky. Throwers are generally really good too because you can kind of just cover a lot of the map and spam out a bunch of shots. These maps tend to have a lot of walls. Juju is also really strong just because she's unkillable. I have had a lot of success playing Laser Buzz in this game mode. Saber Buzz too, obviously really good. Some generally high mobility brawlers can be really nice just to like go in and grab the souls, but they're risky to play to like get kills and stuff just because if you die on the enemy team, you're feeding your soul, right? That's not really ideal. Getting a 1-for-1 trade is it's not amazing. This one is also pretty map dependent, I would say, and it is basically just knockout. Try to play really passive, try to play safe, don't die for nothing. And Rico also tends to be kind of okay in some of these maps too, so keep that in mind. Buzz Lightyear is going to be the best brawler. Definitely pick up the Buzz Lightyear if you can. Alright, and now that brings us to actually a game mode that I kind of enjoyed when it was out. It's Paint Brawl, and Paint Brawl, if I had to describe it, is basically just Bounty, where dying is really bad, but it's also like Brawl Ball, where whoever has ball control has the advantage. So your goal here is it's like two different goals, kind of. You don't want to die, and you don't want to lose control of the ball. It sounds kind of complex, but it's not actually that crazy. I will caveat this statement of you don't want to die by saying you don't want to die on your own paint, if that makes sense, because when you die, you drop a load, the enemy's load, all over your feet, and paint over your zone with the enemy's paint color. So dying is really bad if you are standing on your own paint color, but if you're standing on the enemy's side, so if you're playing like Mortis or something and you're diving in on them, and you die, they don't get any paint for that death, because you're already standing on the enemy's paint. So if you think about it, if you are going to die, it is better to try to move towards the enemy's side of the map, just so you're not painting over your own side. But in general, this game mode tends to be kind of passive because it is like Bounty, right? So if you are going like longer range brawlers, you really want to play passive and don't die on your zone. But dying on your zone is okay if you have the ball, because the ball you can use to paint over your own side if you make like a mistake and you die. If your team has the ball, you can just paint over the paint that dropped from you dying. So really, the ball is kind of just like used as an eraser tool to just erase any mistakes you make, that your team makes from dying. I generally find it really risky, actually, if you have ball control, to try to push into the enemy side with the ball, just because you might lose ball control trying to paint over the enemy team side with the ball for whatever reason. Most of the time, it is really just easier to try to farm kills on the enemy team on their side to paint over it with their deaths. That's way safer than just trying to go in with the ball or something to make some play happen. That's just my experience with it, because if you give them the ball, then they're going to be able to erase all of the progress you make by, you know, farming those kills, right? And really, the ball, you know, you really just want to try to hold onto the ball and just camp it and not let the enemy team get it, basically, and then just try to kill them as they try to make plays to go forward or try to make plays to kill you in general. Really, whoever has ball control will win the game, as long as you can maintain control of it. And so best brawlers are really going to be kind of map dependent and modifier dependent, but Buzz Lightyear, Saber Form, or Laser Form are both really, really good. I did mention Mortis. He can work pretty well. Snipers too, Piper, I've had great success playing her. I really just played Piper and Laser Buzz, to be honest, but I'm sure there are other brawlers too that are kind of okay, but you don't really want to go tanks that much just because the maps tend to be a little bit more open, but you can make it work maybe. Although if you're facing a Saber or a Laser Buzz and you're playing a tank, you're probably fucked. So because tanks aren't generally used, tank counters are also they're not kind of rare to see, but you could go Surge and stuff if you can get leveled, it's fine. Just kind of play what you want and make sure what's more important is just game sense and making sure you're playing a brawler that's kind of strong. Alright, and for the last game mode, we have Bot Drop. For this game mode, you kind of want to just go Colt, multi-shot brawlers, things that'll hit the bots that spawn in multiple times, because those bots that spawn in and drop those bolts, they aggro onto whoever hit them last, and so if you're spitting out just a bunch of projectiles, you're more likely to have the bot aggro onto you, and then they'll walk over to you and you can collect their bolt more safely. Brawlers that have a poison tick can also be really good for that, so like Crow, say Laser Buzz, funnily enough. I'm not sure if I would go Byron, but you can maybe make it work. Other brawlers like that are not multi-shot but also really good, like Amber is really strong. Gale, maybe potentially pretty good too. But yeah, I would just go like Colt or Lou, maybe Pearl. Rico is pretty good too. Lola, right? Just classic multi-shot brawlers that you can get. Tanks can be good too, like Saber Buzz, BB, to try to grab bolts or draw aggro and farm the enemy team. It's a little bit riskier, but it can work. I will say that Jessie and Penny turrets are surprisingly pretty decent, because Jessie's turrets kind of spit out a lot of projectiles consistently, so it can kind of draw aggro pretty nicely. And Penny turrets leave behind fire, which also draw aggro pretty nicely, so those are pretty solid picks too. In terms of tips for the game mode, I will just say, even if you're losing the game by like 5 to 7, the thing is the final boss bot drops 3 bolts, so it's actually always winnable until just the way that the game mode is set up. Even if you're down by a lot, as long as the enemy team hasn't won yet and collected that 8th bolt, it's actually always very winnable, because that last robot will drop 3 bolts, which is enough to win. It's first to 8 bolts, and it'll always work out so that after 12 bolts spawn, the 13th robot will always be the boss robot. So if the game has gone on for 12 bolts, right, and it's like 5 to 7 or 7 to 5, whoever gets that last boss drop and gets those bolts wins the game. Don't give up hope. I've lost games that I should have won this way, and won some games that I should have lost this way too, so yeah. So now that we've covered the game modes, I just want to briefly touch on the modifiers. The modifiers are pretty much, I think, all the modifiers that they've tried in the past year, besides a few of the really cringe ones, and they've also added a funny little one called Instagib, which is absolutely horrible and the worst modifier that I think people can generally agree that's true, but it's has some strategy to it if you give it a chance. It's actually kind of maybe, yeah, it's not that bad if you get used to it, but with certain game modes that are really miserable, if they're really passive, you might just, it's pretty horrible. It's a pretty horrible modifier. The worst combos that I've experienced with Instagib are Present Plunder, just because the game always just goes to a draw and then you waste your ticket. Carry the Gift is, I assume, is pretty terrible too, just because if everyone is just dying instantly, then nobody can actually pick up the present for any significant period at a time. But I don't know, maybe people find that fun. I really don't know. Other game modes, honestly, with Instagib aren't that bad. I haven't experienced Instagib with Spirit Wars, so I can't tell you if that's complete miserable horseshit or not, but maybe it is. With Instagib, there's actually a little bit of strategy. So in terms of brawlers to pick, I'm not 100%, but I think your brawler, everyone has 1 HP, so the health pool doesn't matter, but I think you do keep like traits. So if you can walk on water, so Angelo and Eve, Juju might be pretty solid picks for Instagib. And I think brawlers also have their movement speed, so maybe brawlers like Crow, Max, like very fast brawlers, I think might have a little slight advantage. You probably don't want to go brawlers with like the biggest hitboxes if you can avoid it, but it really doesn't matter that much. And maybe Brawl Stars thought this ahead and made all the brawlers the same anyways in terms of hitboxes, I don't really know. Now, the main strategy with Instagib is everyone shoots a Piper shot and it reloads really slowly, but it does one-shot people. And also, if you hit someone with the Piper shot, you actually reload your ammo. And if you miss someone, then the reload is really, really slow, so you're not going to be able to attack for like at least a solid 2 seconds, which kind of sucks. So the main strategy then is you want to bait out the enemy to waste their shot and miss it, hopefully. And then while they're reloading, you go in and you get that kill for free without risk, because they're reloading and they can't shoot you while you can shoot them if you have saved your shot. And then if you can get a kill too, it's kind of okay because your ammo will be reloaded, so it's not like the enemy team can kind of revenge kill you all that easily. You can still kind of hold your own by threatening to shoot whoever is next. It's kind of cool in a way if you are playing against really bad players, because you can kind of style on people just by making them waste their shot and then just killing people and farming them out of spawn, because you're going to be reloading your ammo so fast if you can hit your shots. Yeah, so Instagib, it's kind of fun, but also with certain game modes that are really passive, it is horrible, and you don't really want to experience that if you can avoid it. The next game mode, or the next modifier to keep in mind, is time detonation. The whole map is basically going to open up over the course of a minute. if you see a map and you think, oh, but it's kind of grassy, is it really okay to go a sniper on time detonation just because it's time detonation on a really grassy map like this? Yes. Do not get stuck with your pants down on time detonation going any brawler that is a thrower or like a super close range brawler. Go with snipers. Trust me, you will thank me later. Laser Buzz also obviously is really good though. Big Friend, this is from ranked, and time detonation was too, but the strategy here, Big Friend, your whole team is gonna have the HP of the highest HP brawler on your team. So the main strategy is to go like one tank and then a bunch of tank counters. You generally don't want to have multiple tanks because the tanks themselves don't tend to do as much damage. So if you go like Jackie, a brawler like Jackie, if the enemy team has like a Frank on their team, you're not going to be able to kill anyone on their team. You're going to be completely useless as a Jackie. The tanks you want to go, Frank is really nice just because he has the highest HP in the game, but also he does a lot of damage, and so he can kind of box out the other enemy brawlers, even though he is the kind of the high HP slut of the team. Like, you definitely wouldn't want to go Hank, and if you do go Hank, then you're gonna probably have to pray that the enemy team doesn't abuse the Big Friend modifier to get a lot of HP. But yeah, Colette is gonna be really good just because she can shred HP like no one else. Like, Lou is probably pretty decent too. Any tank counter, just try to go people that have a lot of DPS and or CC, and have at least one tank, like a Frank or a Daryl or something. Next modifier, we have Quick Fire. So this is pretty much, you just go multi-shot brawlers, like Colt, like Lola, Griff, Gale, really good options. Shotgun brawlers can also be pretty good too, like Bull and Shelly and Daryl, but the only thing is that close range brawlers and tanks are usually not as good in Quickfire just because they themselves get shredded by all the tank counters that are so strong now, like Gale and Griff. It can work though in certain scenarios, and if the enemy team is bad, you can really make anything work, to be honest. On really open maps too, snipers like Piper can also be really strong because she, Quickfire helps kind of stacks with their star power that she has that reloads her ammo, so Piper can actually work really nicely too. But generally, multi-shot brawlers, that's kind of your key. And if you have Quickfire on a game mode like Spirit Wars, Colt is going to absolutely eat that safe alive. Or like Bot Drop Quickfire, oh my god, you definitely want to go like, yeah, Colt is again going to eat those bots alive. It is going to be insane. And then the last modifier of note is Super Bushy. The map is, it's kind of like the opposite of time detonation. The whole map is going to get extremely bushy, just like your mother's. Yeah, it's going to get really bushy over the course of a minute. Mid-range and close-range brawlers are going to be a lot better here, but you do kind of have to wait it out to get the bushes to really grow in first. Besides that, it's nothing too crazy. And if I didn't mention a modifier, so stuff like Gadgets Galore or Unlimited Power or Ice Age, okay, those modifiers literally do not matter. It is basically like you're playing Classic. There's really, like, there's no difference in the meta or anything. So yeah, that's gonna be from me. Good luck with your games, and hope you guys get really nice presents. Make sure you use your tickets, okay? Hope you use them if you're watching this after the event is over. But yeah, if you made it this far in the video, I just want to say I love your hair today. Looks absolutely fabulous and splendid. If you are bald, then your lack of hair really suits you well too. Hope you guys are spending some happy holidays with your family. I'm currently traveling, which is why my mic that sounds different. Hopefully I can figure out streaming if I can get a decent internet connection. Take care, y'all. I love you. Goodbye. Peace.